Things with Good Parts, episode number 184. In today's episode, I want to share with you an advanced sales closing strategy that's not required to have success, but it can help potentially you to create even more success in your sales and marketing business. And as I wrote in the intro or the description of this video, I used to have a mentor that he was a genius really at closing sales. He did some crazy things. Like one time I was at an event and the room was filled with people, and this person from stage started talking about this thing that he was selling. And about halfway through his speech, I looked over and noticed that the room was standing up, like 50 to 60% of the room, people were standing up and they were pulling out their credit cards and they were rushing to the back of the room to buy this thing he was selling. Now, the interesting part of this is that at this point in time, he hadn't even told people what he was selling or how much it cost. And so that kind of broke my mind a little bit, to see that. Broke it open, I guess you could say. Not broken in a bad way. But those are the kind of things that this person would do. And so I'm always reflecting back on things that I saw that worked, and was it a good thing? At this point in my career, selling someone to something that they don't know what it is and they don't know what the price is, it's probably not something that I would want to do. But that being said, there are a lot of things this mentor did that were really, really advanced and seemed to work really well. So I'm going to talk to you about one of them. So I'm going to tell you what it was, and then I'm going to tell you about some studies that I've been doing about the mind to add some further context as to why this might be something that works so well. So one of the things that this mentor used to say is that when you get to the latter portion of your presentation, when you're inviting people to click on the form, fill it out, get started, you're inviting people to make a decision, one of the things that he said was good to do was to tell a story about a time in your life or business where you made a great decision and then all of these positive benefits played out because you made that great decision. So that's the thing that he would do, is when he was closing, he would tell a story about, after he gives a call to action, he would tell a story about a time where he was thinking about making a decision and evaluating the pros and cons. Maybe he was a little nervous to make the decision, but decided to trust his gut, made the decision, and then all of these great things played out. So that was the tactic. That was the tactic. So the why behind why that worked, and probably still does work, for me, is found in this book. This is our book of the month this month. It's called Word Weaving, The Science of Suggestion. And by the way, if you guys are here live, if you would do me a favor and say hello in the comments below. And I had chat turned off because I was doing a YouTube video the other day, so I haven't seen any of your messages if you've left me a message or a chat. So I have chat up now, so I should be able to see your comment. So say hello below if you're tuned in live or on the replay. Hey, Minister Christian says Grand Rising. Cool. Thanks so much for that. Okay, so what did I learn in this book? So in this book, one of the things that, hey Veronica, good to see you. So one of the things this book talks about is how how memory works. And the thing that this book says is that our memories are chunked together in our unconscious mind like a constellation in a sky. And in that chunking of memories, you have emotions, you have feelings, you have all of these things that were associated with that particular part of the memory. And so oftentimes when something in that constellation is triggered, all of the emotions that were associated with that memory will come into us. And I want to give you a real life example, evidence of how I saw in my life that this has a high probability of being true. Yesterday, my father-in-law was over at our house, and we were having this long philosophical conversation, which was a lot of fun. And while we were talking, my father-in-law said that I sometimes like to listen to music. And part of the reason I like to listen to music is because some of the music I hear will trigger all of these old memories and all of these old emotions, and they'll come flooding back to me, and I'll feel what I felt way back in the day. Have you guys ever experienced this, where an old song comes on the radio? Hey, Kevin Coe, good to see you. Thanks for saying hello. Where you hear something on the radio, maybe it's a song from high school, and you hear it, and then all of a sudden you're cast back into that moment. They call it like being like nostalgia, right? Like you feel how you felt way back then. So that's the phenomenon with memories. Memories are stored in constellations, and we can have triggering thoughts that then trigger the emotions that were associated with that memory. Danny Krenz says, yes, I have. Okay, so it's not just me. And hey, Grand Rising to you, Danny. Okay, so the next thing that's relevant to this whole conversation that this book talks about, a couple of things. One is that this book says that oftentimes the emotions will come to us before the memory comes to us. And sometimes we might even feel the emotions and not know why we're feeling the emotions. The memory might not come, but we're feeling these emotions. Okay? So that's the second thing, is with a story of when you made a good purchase decision and things worked out well, what that can do is that can trigger in the mind of the people who are listening a time when they made a good decision and how they felt about that decision, and the feelings of the good decision and the benefits are going to come, and they're going to feel those emotions, which would do what? If they're feeling positive emotions about making a good decision, then likely those positive emotions can affect the current decision that they're facing at this point in time. I'm going to check the comments here real quick and then share with you the third thing that's relevant to this whole thing. Vroning says, yes, talking about it this week. Very nice songs, but such a huge emotional feeling pump up. Yeah, songs, they do that. Janine says, hey, yes, music always brings back feelings. Nick Romani says, I know exactly what you mean. Kevin Coe says, music does that for me also. A lot of memories get triggered with music from our own history. And Danny says the feelings are amazing. I agree on all of that. So the last thing that's relevant that I'm learning from this book to this particular strategy is that one of the things my old mentor used to say is that a lot of the decisions that we make throughout the day, we think we're making them consciously, but unconsciously, usually what they have found is that we're unconsciously making decisions. And I haven't got into the specific studies yet. There was a book that this book referenced, Word Weaving, called The User Illusion. And so I've started reading this book, The User Illusion. And right at the beginning, that's what this book says as well, is that a lot of the things that we think we're doing consciously, they've done scientific studies to show that some of the things we think we're doing consciously are actually being done unconsciously. So again, I haven't got to the studies on how valid that is, but I kind of have a sense that that's probably leaning towards truth. And so the point to all of this is that if we make a lot of the decisions that we make unconsciously, sometimes even what my old mentor would say is that sometimes the decision is made unconsciously before we even know consciously that we're going to make the decision. So if all of that is true, then one of the things that seems to me to be the case is that learning how to communicate with not just our conscious mind, but our unconscious mind as well. And this is true from my own personal journey, is that it was when I started doing a lot of work on my unconscious mind with affirmations that I started to feel and experience a lot of transformation, both internally, but then also externally with my income results and my success in business. So anecdotally, from my own personal experience, I would say that learning to communicate with your unconscious mind is a really important skill to have. And then when you're communicating with other people, if it's true that all of us make most of our decisions unconsciously, learning how to communicate to the unconscious minds of others while we're speaking is probably a good skill to have. And I'm just kind of starting to think about this. So I don't have a whole bunch of high-level information to give you on how to do that, other than if you're at a point in your presentation, whether it's on a live and you're coming to the close and you're inviting someone to go visit your website, or if you're selling something and you're coming to the close, telling a story of a decision that you made that turned out to be a really great decision seems like it might have the effect of being able to help communicate with other people's unconscious minds so that we can trigger times when they also made good decisions, and those emotions can come back and they can feel like, okay, maybe this decision that's being presented to me right now is a good decision and can have great things on the other side. So food for thought, something on my brain this morning. I'm not an expert at this particular closing strategy, but it's something that I want to practice in the future, rather than just say, okay, if you want A, B, C, D, E benefit, then click the button, fill out the form, and get started. Say that, but then also maybe say something like, I remember a time when I was struggling in my life. I was actually living in a 1984 single-wide mobile home. I was jobless. I'd failed in business for 4 years. One of my kids was going to have a $50,000 surgery down at Primary Children's Hospital. I felt like I was in a desperate situation. I offered a prayer, please God help me. And then not too long after that, I was on the internet and I was searching for answers. And one of the things that I found is I discovered that I could use the internet to attract people to me. So rather than running around in my local area, doing presentations for my aunt and uncle, trying to convince my uncle's friends from the local fraternity group that building residual income was the way to go, rather than doing that, I could instead find people online that were already interested in those things, and I could put myself in front of them. And if I did that, my message had a much higher probability of reaching the mark and tapping into an existing desire that people already had, and maybe it would be a little bit easier. So when I first ran across that very first lead capture page on Google, I remember it, lead capture page, name, email, opt-in, I opted in, and my mind got open to a whole new world of possibilities. And that was one of the moments where I started to first learn about these new possibilities, but then second started to implement them in my life. And not too long after that, because I was bringing in leads, I started to convert more sales. And finally, after 4 years of struggle, finally, I hit that first $3,000 in monthly income. And it all boils down to that decision that I made to put my name and email on that page and start learning from someone who had more knowledge than I did. And I'm so thankful that I made that decision. So here I am at the end of this video, and I want to invite you, if you've gotten value from this video and you want to learn more from me about how your life can change via online marketing, I'd love to invite you to visit my website, myfreedomfamily.com, put your name and email in the box, and perhaps things can change for you like they changed for me. That really was a great decision. And I wonder, if I'd not made that decision, where would I be now? I don't know, but I honestly, I don't want to know, because the path that I took and where I'm at now, thank you, and I'm just so glad I filled out that form. So that was an example of how you can tell a story when you come to the closing portion of your presentation. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. I'm going to check the comments here real quick. But first, I'll say, if you're finding me for the first time and you want more content from me, I'd love to encourage you to subscribe to me on social media, wherever you're finding this. And again, to be sure that you don't miss out on all of my future content, visit myfreedomfamily.com, put your name and email in, you'll be on my email list, and you'll be in good shape. Hopefully, that's my goal, to help you be in good shape. So I'm going to check the comments here. Nick says, there is this show I watch called Cold Case, and the music at the end triggers that very often. There you go, triggering things. And the other thing to remember, guys, is that we can be triggering events in the minds of other people. The words that we say, the stories that we tell, the spirit and the excitement that we bring to the market, we can be triggering effects. A great affirmation, I think, is, I am a cause of many good things in the lives of others. Why? Because of me showing up, I have the ability to be a causing agent in the lives of others that can be a springboard for good things. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Nick. Veronique says, sometimes good feelings, but sometimes bad feelings. Song texts are triggers to your emotions. Yeah, for sure. Danny says, it's like deja vu. Probably spelled that wrong. Yeah, deja vu, right. Nick says, you have a knack for being wise and have a great heart and soul. Thank you so much. I really appreciate those kind words, Nick. And you spot it, you got it, as Brett Hudson says. Nick says, and we are thankful too. It was an omen. Thanks, Nick. And Janine says, such valuable information. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are so welcome. Thanks for tuning in. All right, guys, that's it. I'm off. Hope you have a great day. Take action, go for your dreams, and we'll see you sometime down the road. Take care. Bye for now.